from New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Laura Styles, Rosenberg.
Bro, I have been on a binge recently
Of?
UFC. I'm not trying to be Joe Company guy because I work at ESPN, but I'm not going to lie. They do give me that free ESPN Plus
Wait, you
password.
get it for free?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how we got this legend right here?
Yeah, Robbie Lawler's in the
Give
building.
it up for Robbie Lawler.
What's up, guys?
And,
This guy's been in some wars, man.
Yeah.
3 consecutive fights of the year?
Geez, I didn't even realize that in 2014, 15, and 16. And August 3rd, UFC Fight Night on ESPN, Prudential Center in Newark. You're headlining.
Yup.
What's your looking back at the tape? When your favorite fight, yours, and why?
I think the Rory McDonald fight was awesome just because he pushed me to the limits. He forced me to show everyone the heart that I always knew I had, and it was just a battle back and forth.
Now, you're 37. You've fought in, my math is bad, but almost 40-something fights?
Yeah, who's keeping track?
43.
43?
Got you, bro. It's 28, 14, and 1. It wasn't that.
Sorry, man. Sorry,
okay.
man.
No,
Math's
sure.
not my thing.
I know.
20 knockouts. You're fighting a young cat, though, or a young girl. He's 31. How you feel about Colby?
I feel fine. It's all about me getting what I needed to get done. My body feels great. Training's going awesome. Training partners are doing a good job of pushing me, taking care of my body, and I feel like if I'm clicking on all cylinders, I'm gonna knock anybody out.
Can you? I admit my knowledge of UFC and MMA stops basically past watching all the fights, and like when it comes to knowing what happens and who's on each team, I'm not great at it. The accusations from your opponent that you turned your back on American Top Team. What's the source of this thought?
I think it's just him talking. I don't really pay much attention to what anyone's saying. I know why I left, and that's all that matters. Every decision I've ever made in my life, I'm better for it, and it's all learning experiences. And I'm just here to fight. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to get better, here to grow, and continue to grow in life and in the sport.
Was there any enjoyment to you seeing Ben Askren get his ass kicked the other night, or do you not think of things that way?
It was a rough fight, but Masvidal's my buddy, so I was excited for him.
How much of a wild man is Jorge?
I mean, he's wilder than most, but he's normal to me, I guess. I mean,
You guys are all animals.
Yeah, I'm about to say y'all are all wild.
He seems all right for me.
How would you describe? I mean, I know you've been deep in this world for a very long time, but like I will say, one thing that is intriguing to me over the years about MMA fighters is you guys are a different breed. It is a different thing. Boxers are a different breed for sure, and you guys are a different breed. The ability to walk down an aisle in front of thousands of people and step into a cage and fight for your life and your livelihood is a different sort of thing. What do you think like distinguishes you guys from other athletes? Because it is clearly a different beast.
It's just how many things you need to be really good at. You have to be well versed in wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of aspects, and each fight might be a little bit different, that you need to focus a little bit more on this, but not at any point in time can you not focus on getting better everywhere, because if somebody will exploit a weakness, and just the way it is, it's so many things you got to look after.
How did you get into the sport?
It's kind of funny. When I was young, I kept asking my dad, let me get into martial arts, let me fight, let me box. So then he got me into Taekwondo, did that at a pretty high level. Then I moved from California to Iowa, kept up with my boxing, my own heavy bag, kicking the bag still, and then I'm like, all right, this wrestling stuff, I might want to learn
Wrestling's
this.
big in Iowa,
started
too.
wrestling because it was a one-on-one sport. It was a rough sport, and I was like, all right, I need to do this. Taught me hard work and work ethic. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, some pro fighters came into the wrestling room, my high school wrestling room, and I was like, hold on a second. You're telling me this is kickboxing, boxing, and wrestling rolled into one? I go, I'm sold. I'm in.
What was the toughest training you ever did? Wrestling?
They're all different. They're tough in different ways. But I was able to wrestle like at Iowa, and their practices were really, really hard. 2 hours of just grinding, hot, sweaty, like 90
High school
degrees.
wrestling for me was the toughest thing I probably ever did in my life.
I don't even think I know that you did that. You did it how many years?
7th, 8th, and 9th grade. It was
Okay.
Oh, wow.
But it was brutal.
What? Making weight, running, spitting, and doing all that crazy shit. Like, it was, I mean, double days of football is hard with gear on outside, but it's just a different type of hard. And wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu, that like staying locked and
Yeah,
holding somebody
there's
for
not
extended-
much rest. If you like think about like football, it's like 3-second burst, 4-second burst, 5 maybe if a play runs long. Wrestling is just
You're
constant,
locked with someone
constant
for-
pressure,
Right.
moving.
It's not like,
Constantly.
boxing, you're stepping back, you're breathing.
Right.
Well, that's one of the funniest things. So there are a couple of things that I'm always intrigued about with fights. Number one is, fans in a building. When you're at the building, people have a different expectation, right? Like it doesn't matter if they've been seeing knockouts all night. They want to see constant action, right? So when you guys are just like having a real ground and pound lockup kind of
grappling match.
it's really challenging, and there's not a lot of space or boxing. The crowd will get antsy and boo sometimes.
Yep.
And I always wonder what that experience is like. Like if you have someone on your back for 4 minutes and you're just getting everything taken out of you to survive that, or vice versa. And then are you able to hear the crowd booing?
Yeah, you can hear the crowd, but if someone's on my back, I'm like, shit, they're booing this guy.
Right. You don't even think about it being.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, they're booing the other guy for just hanging on me.
Are you able to hear, or are you able in the middle of one of these like matches that are, one of the most challenging fights you've had in your career? Are you able to, in the moment, be like, I need to be doing things differently? They'll be saying, for Michael Bisping or whoever it is, will be saying, they need to do this. They need to employ this tactic. And I'm like, are these motherfuckers able to really think about what they need to employ right now? Or is it just going all on instinct?
It's a lot of instinct, but you have to be able to adapt. So, like, yeah, you're like, when I'm fighting somebody, I'm watching how he's moving. All right, he's doing this. All right, I need to switch this up and go here. So you're just kind of playing that game, kind of like a chess match, and you have to fight at a high level, you need to be kind of smart in fighting.
Do you hear your
emotional too?
Exactly,
Right?
you have to be-
your emotions can get involved.
Get
see
you
guys
tired,
lose
too.
Their whole shit.
Do you hear your corner though? When like
Sometimes you can hear them, but once that crowd starts to get loud,
and what about when you're sitting in your corner between, let's say it's a championship fight between the 4th and 5th round? Are you still able? You're looking at them and they're right there. Are you still able to absorb what they're telling you?
Yeah, I'm absorbing what they're telling me, and not only that, I'm kind of let them know how I'm feeling. Sometimes they're telling you do this, do that, and I'm like, shit, my freaking leg's busted. I can't do that. So it's just you have to communicate with your corner, kind of like think out there so that they know. So if they're like, oh, he can't move that way. Hey, move to the right, circle this way instead of that way. So it's a chess match, and your coaches are trying to figure out a way to help you get the victory.
At post-fight Masvidal the other night, viral video everywhere. Masvidal knocks out Askren, and his celebration was in question. And he got up on the podium talking about, something that I think we've expressed on this show, looking at how Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, where things got beyond trash talking, it got personal. Or what's the guy that jumped out of the octagon?
Khabib.
Khabib. He's fighting
where you
soon,
start
too.
talking. Now you're offending culture, religion, things that in other countries doesn't fly, right? And so I totally agree with Masvidal, where it's like, this can be fun, trash talking entertainment without it necessarily going into racial spaces or these offensive spaces that if I saw you on the street, I'd fucking stomp your face in. You know what I mean? What is your interpretation of what Askren did, before this fight with Masvidal and has been doing? How do you feel about that being a part of the sport?
I try not to follow too much about what people are saying and all that, get into that stuff. But I know Askren runs his mouth, and when you run your mouth, I mean, stuff like this happens, and you can't. I feel like if someone's running their mouth, then you're going to fight.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I'm an old school guy where I don't think Masvidal did anything wrong. He was celebrating. He handled himself as a professional. And if you don't want somebody to dance on top of you, don't get beat up.
Well, that part.
Don't run your mouth.
That Well, and also Masvidal went on to say, if I see him in Whole Foods, I'm still gonna smack the shit out of him.
Have you had people like that? Who are there guys out there that when it ended, you didn't want to hug them, you didn't want to make up, you still were like, I can't stand this guy?
No, I always have. I'm different. I have respect for my opponents, but no one's ever really disrespected me to the point of that. No one's ever. But I never pay attention to anything anyone's saying, so I just show up and fight and let my fighting talk.
Is there anything you like about Colby as you go into this fight? Before I ask you if there's anything you dislike. Because as you just said, you respect fighters, so I'm sure you're watching and you've seen his tape.
No, I think he's done a good job. He's a hardworking guy. He's got a lot of ability. I mean, I don't really.
But do you have respect for him as a fighter?
I think he does a lot of good things. He's got a good camp behind him, and yeah.
And without giving up too much, how do you plan on beating him?
Just going out there, getting in his face, and forcing a fight. I think he likes to fight too. I think he likes to get in people's face and push them up against the fence and get close. So.
Is he an emotional guy? Is he an emotional fighter?
I would say maybe because he doesn't have that many fights. And maybe this isn't something he chose to do when he was 8. I don't know him personally, but this is what I chose to do. This is what I love to do, and I didn't pick this because there was money at the time.
What at this stage when you kind of already have legend status and you've already reached the highest of heights? At this stage in your career, what goals do you have in front of you that motivate you?
I just want to keep getting better, plain and simple. Try to get stronger, try to get a little faster, try to tighten up this skill. If you're not learning and getting better, what are you doing? You're getting worse. Everyone else is getting better. So just trying to evolve, trying to be a better person, be a better husband, just simple stuff. But those simple little things really pay dividends.
Amanda Nunez the other day, awesome again against Holly Holm. She's beaten everybody now. I think there's really a case to be made that she is the best ever, and she's in the conversation for just one of the best ever to do it. Period. One thing that I think is funny about UFC is the sport is still relatively new, right? Like we can remember UFC 1. I mean, you're talking about this is only 25 years old, so. Very often, it seems like there's a changing of the guard of who's the greatest ever, who's in the conversation.
Because it's new.
Because it's new. Because history's being written on it right now, right?
Yeah.
Who do you see in your mind as the couple of people that would be on the Mount Rushmore at this point for mixed martial arts?
I mean, Anderson Silva with his run was amazing. Obviously, John Jones, what he's doing and continuing to do is awesome. Amanda should be up there. I mean, everyone had their little niche at that time, so like different eras, different things. I mean,
Gracie era.
And Chuck Liddell, Tito had his run. Randy did his great things. Hughes did his stuff. GSP, everyone kind of did their runs. So
I love GSP, but he pissed me off all the time.
Yeah,
just because he was so tactical and just so fucking good. It was like, all right.
It was hard,
That's his style. He's
that's it.
Technical
guy.
Yeah,
he was like Bernard Hopkins in UFC.
Right.
Like would just drive you crazy by how good he was, but you just couldn't do anything about him. If you had to pick an overall number one, the greatest to ever do it, who would you say it is?
Ken Shamrock.
Man. I feel like when Anderson Silva was clicking on all cylinders, I really appreciated the style he was bringing to the table.
Nothing else quite looked like that.
No, it was smooth. The way he moved, it was...
And it was entertaining. Like, he knew how to be exciting at the same time.
It sounds cheesy, but I love things Brazilian culture. It literally looked like he was fighting the way the best Brazilian soccer players play soccer.
Yeah.
Like, it was so... It was like he made it a beautiful...
There was flow,
fucking MMA.
It looked like it was just like beautiful. And John Jones has moments of that too, where he does things... The other day,
but not as smooth.
But not as smooth. It has the more American. It's a little shoppier and strong. But like the other day, even, I don't think John Jones had an answer against Dos Santos on Saturday. I really think that if Dos Santos' knee doesn't get weird and start buckling on him constantly, I'm not saying he would have won, but that's to me what makes John Jones so good. I did think he was overmatched. I think he was surprised at the strength, and yet he found a way to fight the fight his way and get a win. Like, that's to me what impressed me more, was it didn't seem like he could really hurt Dos Santos. He didn't seem to have a way, but he got a win.
Yep, he figures out a way to control the octagon and move around, because a lot of I figure the best thing he did in that fight was his forward pressure at times and kind of keeping Dos Santos moving back. And even though it seemed like Dos Santos was landing the harder, heavier shots, it just looked like
He was the effective aggressor.
yes. And because he stumbled a few times, you're like, oh, he actually caught him with a nice elbow too that
Yeah,
kind
he
of
did.
dropped him, which was. But he's crafty. He knows how to win in all those little spots, and that's what. When you get to the top level, it's all about those little things.
Crafty veteran.
Exactly.
You and Woodley, what's going on, man?
I don't know. He was supposed to fight me.
June.
Yeah.
It got canceled. You don't
Yep.
know.
Nah, I don't really know. He just canceled, and that was it.
You know, son.
Nah, he's just.
So you lost to him once, right?
Yep.
This was the rematch.
Yep.
So now you're fighting August 3rd on ESPN, which you're fighting Colby Covington, younger cat. I'm assuming after that you're trying to get back to Woodley. You feel like there's work to be done there? You got to...
No, I mean, that fight would be one of the bigger fights. I don't really know. Just at this point in time, just kind of get past this one, then go on vacation with my family, and then
come back to it.
Exactly.
Wait,
then come back to it.
and Tyron's been talking a lot. I mean, he's hosting a lot, literally. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
working, doing other
he
aspects.
basically, on most of the big fights, he does pre-show or whatever. Like,
I think he
doing.
might have a talk show to the Morning Wood show.
So you're
or
saying
something.
he's a little distracted from...
No, I think he just has other stuff going
Nice
on.
guy. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not that guy.
He's
I
trying
fall
to
for
build his little brand and do what's best for him.
Wow, this guy's
Gentleman.
Good. This gentleman.
I mean, that's life. Man.
Classy,
You can't freaking hate on somebody for trying to make money. And,
Well, especially in a business where you know at some point the time that you can compete is limited.
yeah, everyone's doing the best they can and trying to survive and make a little bit of money while they're doing it.
You're not as ruthless outside the ring, man. I got to say, you're
No,
just a
I
classy
flipped the switch.
gentleman. Yeah,
when it's
man.
time to be ruthless, it's time to be
You're
ruthless.
like respectful Robbie Lawler right now.
Yeah, I mean.
And then in the ring, you're ruthless.
respectful, Robbie.
yeah.
Robbie Lawler, man. Give it up.